guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. This week I'm doing something a wee bit different. I'm doing a Q&A. Put out some questions on Instagram for you guys to send in, and I'm going to go through your questions that you guys have sent in. Training wise, still going to do training videos, still going to upload sort of goings on and stuff and what I'm at and that there. Recently I've been trying to do the training videos, but it's like I've started it and then I got caught up with the training and then the content's just been pretty bleh. So, but what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get somebody back in to record them videos, and then that way I can smash on with my training and then not have to, worry about lifting the camera every 5 minutes and stuff like that, because whenever you're training at a certain intensity, it's pretty hard to do that there, to be honest. It's good to have somebody else there with the camera and stuff. So yeah, you will be getting more of that, so don't be worrying. Today we're going to do Q&A with questions that you guys have sent in. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, make sure you go to Instagram, because that's where I put on the stories for you guys to put in questions. Or if you have a question, drop a question in below the comments on this here. Question: can you share some tips and advice about coping with anxiety? Yes, I can share my tips and advice. I smirk because sometimes you feel you're not practicing what you preach. But yeah, I'll share my tips and advice. So for me, one of the main things is, and it's something that doesn't get talked about quite a bit because everybody goes straight to the mental side of things. If you're somebody who suffers with anxiety and you're going through like anxious phases, be very, very careful to energy drinks, pre-workouts, stuff like that there. I think it's a go-to thing. If you take an energy drink, it'll give you more energy, it'll lift your mood and stuff like that. But if you're currently going through an anxious phase, it will make it way, way worse, because the caffeine and stuff like that is racing your heart rate. Your heart rate's going to get a bit faster, which is going to lead to feeling a lot more anxious. So always be mindful of that there before you delve into the deepness of everything else that's going on. Big thing for me is the wind down at night, and trying to step away from anxious situations and stuff. The reason that's such a huge thing is because that if you're anxious at night, it will lead to bad sleep, and then in return, bad sleep will lead to more anxiety the next day. And sleep is a big, big thing with processing what's going on in our minds. Without sleep, we're sort of fucked, to be honest. I had it explained to me once before, which helped me massively, that when you go to sleep at night, everything that's happened during the day, your mind puts it through like a filtration thing. So if you think of like a 4-carriage motorway dropping into 1 carriage, that's sort of what it's like. So everything that's went on that day is going through like a filter system where your mind has to figure, is this worthwhile worrying about? Is this something that should concern us? Should I be anxious about this? Should I be stressed about this, worried about this? Or how should I feel about this? And you've all this build up of traffic going through there at night. And if you get a poor quality of sleep, it means when you wake up the next morning, there's still all this unprocessed stuff is built up in the backlog, and you genuinely just wake up feeling anxious straight away. So good sleep is a big thing, but a fucking hard thing to do whenever your anxiety's bad. So it's one of them things that's like a bit of a vicious circle. To process it as well is a huge thing. So telling somebody with anxiety to think ahead is probably a bad thing. But I'm not talking about thinking ahead of possibly what could go wrong. And what I'm saying is to think of what is going on right now, process it, figure out what you have to do with it, figure out, what at the time you're at now could go wrong and how you could rectify that, and deal with what's going on now, not, what could happen. So like, You're anxious about something, your anxiety's bad about something. There's no point in thinking ahead of, oh, well, this could happen, that could happen, this might happen, that might happen, and then this is going to get bad. And that's what people do with anxiety. They run 1,000 miles ahead instead of staying in the now. Stay in the now, deal with the now, process it through your mind, and then, worry about the next thing when it comes along. Very easy said, rather than done. But just try to be mindful about it. Another thing, brilliant thing for me, get the earphones in and have positive words, positive affirmations, even just positive music going through your ears as much as you can. That helps me massively. Like, that helps me so, so much. Where the minute I feel my mind's racing away, I put earphones in, I listen to some motivational speakers and motivational stuff. Like, you get it all on YouTube, there's tons of it. And I'll just sit and listen to that. And it's actually brilliant now, YouTube, that you can put in around subjects that's important to you and actually get like the help and support you need with that there and then. Or you hear the words that are in line with what's going on in your life right now, which means it helps 10 times more. So that's a huge thing for me, like a huge thing. How do you feel about telling family and friends about your mental health? Um, okay, so there's two ways of looking at it. Um, a lot of people think that they tell their family and friends, you're going straight to that stage of burdening them with it, which isn't true. I always think you have to look at things on the other foot. If a family or a friend came to you and had the same discussion with you, you'd probably be so glad that you're that person in their life that they turn to, and you'd be so glad to help them and support them. The other side of it is as well, unless there's conversations that has happened, unless you've talked openly and honestly with friends, family, whatever it is, about your mental health, it's really hard for them to understand you and understand what's going on, which means that further down the line there's going to be more problems. Um, One of the things that frustrates me most about um, the problems that I've had and stuff is how difficult it is to be friends with people and how difficult it is to have relationships with people and the damage that it's done to relationships in the past. I hate that about it, like, so much. Um, and one of the things that would have maybe helped that a lot is to talk more and to let people understand a bit more how your mind works, because whether it's a friendship or a partnership, relationship, or whatever, you're two different people from two different walks of life, and you're expecting to come together and understand each other. That doesn't fucking happen. Like, you know what I mean? You have to have open, honest conversations so that you can understand each other's minds and how each other's minds work. Because everybody's so different. Like, none of us are the same. And by having them open conversations really will help your relationships in the long run. Which is a difficult thing to do, and always make sure you're doing it with somebody who genuinely deserves to have them conversations with you. But I do believe that until you have them conversations, until somebody can understand you and understand your mind, it's going to be difficult to have relationships with them. So I guess one with that there is the whole burden thing's bullshit. Stop worrying about that there. And two, whenever you have conversations with people and you open your mind to them, and hopefully they open up theirs in return to you, it will help your relationship a lot moving forward. Like, okay, next question. What is your thoughts about counselling slash therapists? Okay, so my thoughts. Okay, there's still a bit of stigma when it comes to people going to counselling and therapists, which is bullshit that is still around. Because I own a gym, and for the past 10 years, I have seen thousands of people come through our doors and working with personal trainers to lose weight. But when you try to do, for some reason, when you do the same thing regards your mental health, it's like a weakness or something, or there's a stigma about it and all. And if you think of every pro athlete that's in the world right now is all working with sports psychologists because they know that they will make them perform better, I believe every one of us should have a therapist. Whether you see that therapist twice a week, or whether you see that therapist every 2 weeks, or every week, or once a month, or whatever, I believe it's so good for each and every one of us to go and see a therapist and to go and work with a counsellor. Now, the thing about it is, and this is very important, I know a lot of people who have tried counselling and they've been like, oh shit, that's not for me. Well, you know, that works the exact same way with personal trainers. You can go to a personal trainer and they give you a bad experience, or you just don't gel, you don't connect. You don't just say personal training's not for me. You go and try another one. And it's the same with counsellors and therapists. You can't just say, oh, that's not for me and stop. You know, that person is maybe the wrong fit. Go and try somebody else. I think the first person I went to, hope the fuck they don't listen to this YouTube channel, but I think the first person that I went to, I didn't gel. I would start working with this woman, and you know, it was just a lot of fucking feeling sorry for you type of thing and all that there, and it just didn't work for me. And then I went to work with another guy, and I got so much out of him. I felt that I was being educated every time I went, which was brilliant for me, and I was able to understand my mind a bit more and stuff and all, and like, yeah, it was really good. Um, and I took a lot from that. I felt like I was working with a coach, you know, rather than a counsellor or a therapist and stuff. So yeah, it's something that I would really highly recommend. And you know, even if you're somebody who's sitting right now and you're not like in an emergency for it, I would spend the money and I would go and get, you know, like once a month, just go and talk to somebody and get stuff off your shoulders and, you know, just vent more than anything, because a lot of people, especially men, they don't like venting to people around them, and they just carry on and carry on, carry on, and then one day, not that it becomes too late, but one day it becomes a bad thing, and you know, then there's a lot of work needs done rather than small amounts of work and small steps to stopping bigger events from happening, if you like. Okay, next question: Is is it avoidable to have mental health problems? I guess you mean by that, is it um, can you avoid ever having mental health problems? I don't know. That's the honest truth, because I didn't avoid it. I do believe in 2024 and the way social life is and the way work life is and stresses on people nowadays. I do believe it's very hard to avoid it. There's loads of things you could do that would mean you never would avoid it, but then you would have to be cautious of it anyway. And I think if somebody is if somebody's sitting thinking that they don't want to have mental health problems, it's probably because they do have mental health problems. So it would be, you wouldn't actively be putting actions forward for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? That's like somebody running around with a six pack and naturally in great shape, going to the gym so they don't get fat. You know what I mean? You would have to have been fat or getting fat to know that you need to do something. But yeah, if you there's certain things that you know you could definitely do. You normally find the people that I know have the least mental health problems are people that don't give a shit, and I'd love to be that person that where you don't things don't annoy you and you don't care about things and you don't get stressed about things. Stress is these bloody lights. Sorry, it's annoying me more than it's annoying you. Trust me. Um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, stress. Stress is a huge thing, and I'm the type of person if an event happens, I just naturally worry about it and get stressed about it, and then I have to put like actions in that I don't get overstressed and I don't like burn myself out with anxiety and stuff like that. Whereas I know other people when events happen and they're like, right, and not one fuck do they give. I'm so jealous of that. I'd love to be that guy. Like I'd love to be that guy. Um, but then you know maybe the thought, the care, the worry that I do put into things is what sort of led me to where I am now. So I don't know what it's like to be that way, but I do envy it in some ways. But I don't know what it's like to be that way, so I can't see um, what my life would be like if I was that way. I don't know if I don't believe I would be as successful, and that's the truth, because I would have that. There would have been a lot of situations in life if I didn't care, and I was sort of like, fuck it. It could have gone the bad way or the wrong way. So, um, But yeah, I guess it's avoidable if you're always conscious of your mental health and conscious of your mindset and about keeping your mind healthy and stuff like that. It could be avoidable, but um, I'd say I don't know why you would be doing that unless you've had a bad experience with family or something like that. I don't know why you would actively be trying to look after your mental health unless you had some experience of it at some stage. All right, last question. What frustrates you most about your own mental health? Uh, what frustrates me most? I guess for me, yeah. What frustrates me most is the amount of work that I have to do every day just to be what you would class as normal. That frustrates the life out of me. There's so many people, and you know, there like take strongman for example. There was a huge there's a lot of guys who are competing against me who don't need to do all the extra stuff that I need to do. They can just, eat and train and sleep and turn up and compete and bring their best package. Whereas I would have been struggling with like anxiety coming up the shows, which would have affected my appetite, which means that I was struggling to eat, so I was having to force feed a lot more. Stop yourself being sick. Stop yourself being sick before comps. Control the anxiety at comps, because if you don't control the anxiety at comps, you got like weak legs and stuff like that there. And in life, it's even to this day, not to this day exactly. Well, there's a lot of things you go through and you do that you're sort of proud that you've done, but it's only just to start your fucking day. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people who have anxiety and depression that will be listening to this here, and they'll know that getting out of bed, getting showered, and having your first meal is a fucking task at times, an absolute task. And that's just the norm. For some people, aren't even thinking about that. People are thinking. A lot of people are getting up and they're already thinking about their first meeting, their first client, what they're going to do at work, the journey to work, what they're doing that week. They're thinking ahead of the day, and all you're thinking about is you need to get up, you need to get showered, you need to get some food in you, you need to force this down your throat, you need to have a meal. If you don't have a meal, your anxiety is going to be worse. Um, and before you know it, the first hour of your day has been exhausting, and you haven't even started your day's work. You haven't even started, your life, and you do think, why the fuck do I have this? Like, why is this a thing for me, and like other people don't have it? Like, why do I have to go through this all the time? Um, and then the other side of it too is as well, that you can't run around with a T-shirt that's saying, "My mental health's bad today." So you have to come in and smile to people, and put that face on, and it's just the whole time your soul's just sinking, or you're feeling sick and you're feeling nauseous, and you're just in such an unhappy place. But the thing is, if you show that to everybody, for one, I wouldn't have a business. Um, for two, you probably wouldn't be that employable. So you have to put that face on, and you have to let on that you're okay when you're not. And you know, it's exhausting. And there's all this energy's been spent just to do the fucking basics. Never mind to push on, to win, to succeed, to progress in life. All your energy's just been spent to do the basics that people who aren't going through the things you're going through, it's just natural to them. It's just easy to them, and that's quite frustrating to me. It does frustrate me quite a lot. Um, I think a lot of the times, there's been many, many times where I've got frustrated and I think, why do I have to think this way? Why do I have to be like this? And you get so cross with yourself and annoyed with yourself. Um, but it's just who you are. It's just, I think whenever you're focusing on that, as I said earlier in the video, you're focusing on that negative time and that negative experience you're going through, and the problems it's causing you, rather than thinking about how you've used your mental health in the past to strengthen you to do other things. And as a whole, what I've been through with my mental health, it has led to me becoming a very strong-minded person when I set my focus into achieving something. You know, if you can battle demons like depression, if you can fight anxiety every day, then the idea of winning Ireland's Strongest Man, the idea of making X amount of money, the idea of doing whatever, you know, isn't that fucking scary. It's not that scary. And, you know, it does make you stronger. It does make you a stronger person for sure. So, yeah, as frustrating as it can be, as annoying as it can be, I think when you look at the overall picture, fuck them lights. At least maybe that made you laugh. I think when you look at the overall picture, then I don't think it's as bad, and I don't think you get as frustrated then. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that quick Q&A. I like doing your questions, love doing your questions, because I like to put the information out there that you guys want. So please get involved with the questions. It's a big thing. It helps me loads. So get involved with the questions. Keep an eye out on the Instagram stuff. And if you have any questions for the next one, put them in the comments below. And make sure to like and share, subscribe, and all that carry on. Cheers guys. See you soon.